distribution. The president was emphatic that Africa cannot industrialize if the problem of generating cheap and clean energy is not solved. He also made a case for the education system and academic curricula be rejigged to gravitate towards science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This, he believes, is a short way to produce the next generation of managers for the envisaged industrial complex that will not be dependent on expatriates. The continent, he also said, needs more foreign direct investment in science, technology, and innovation to drive industrialization. President Buhari used the opportunity to highlight his administration's efforts at economic diversification as well as exploring bilateral, multilateral, and other opportunities for the creation of Center of Excellence for Vaccine Manufacturing and Distribution in Nigeria. The summit is expected to adopt various draft protocols, including that of investment, and also launch additional operational tools for the African Continental Free Trade Area. From Niamey, the Republic of Niger, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Abuja after a two-day official visit to Niamey, Republic of Niger. The president was received on arrival at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, Minister of the FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, the Director General, Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other top government functionaries. While in the Republic of Niger, President Buhari inaugurated a newly constructed major road in the capital Niamey, named after him. He also presented to the public the French version of the book entitled Muhammadu Buhari, Challenges of Leadership in Nigeria, translation of which was sponsored by the government of Niger as a mark of honor to the Nigerian leader. The president also joined other African leaders at the extraordinary summit of the African Union on industrialization and economic diversification. Achieving 95% financial inclusion by 2024 is a target policymakers and implementers must work to realize so as to attain sustainable growth and development. Musa Abubakar reports that this was the position of the Central Bank of Nigeria at the International Financial Inclusion Conference in Abuja.
Financial services are becoming more and more accessible by the day, a manifestation of concerted policy of the CBN and sectoral efforts to accelerate financial inclusion over the years. Although financial inclusion rate had increased to 64.1% from 53.7%, the CBN is particular about reducing the rate of exclusion. This conference seeks to reflect Nigeria's financial inclusion journey.
As financial inclusion stakeholders in Nigeria, we have invited you here to tell our financial inclusion story and showcase some of the key policies and initiatives that Nigeria has implemented to enable her to achieve her financial inclusion objectives.
The federal government is committed to providing continuous support to all financial inclusion stakeholder institutions in the public and private sectors.
Convene an important global conversation on how to address the persisting exclusions in certain segments, exclusion gaps such as women, youth, and rural dwellers.
Amongst the 4 strategic documents launched to deepen financial inclusion is the Payment System Vision 2025. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
The National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center being constructed at the cost of around 12 billion naira will be partly completed and set for inauguration by March 2023. Chidima Ndubisi reports that this was the assurance given to the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, when he went to inspect the 2-tower edifice located at Central Business District, Abuja. The building with 7 and 8 suspended floors is linked on all floors and is being constructed by an indigenous company.
The center is another milestone for digital transformation in Nigeria.
Based on what I have seen, all these things are in alignment with what the Federal Executive Council has approved The quality of the work is also very commendable, and augmentation was also approved based on what I have inspected. That has also been accommodated.
The directive I gave this afternoon is we should start working 24/7. We don't want partial completion.
One of the towers will house the National Digital Innovation, where Nigerians will acquire cutting-edge technological skills and develop hardware, software, including smart energy solutions and emerging technologies for global use. Availability of power 24 hours a day from an independent state source will promote the industrialization of the state, which is a policy drive of the Ayade administration. Now, these are words of Cross River State Governor Professor Ben Ayade during an inspection visit to the 26-megawatt gas-fired power plant at Adebo in Odukani local government area. Paul Abel tells us more.
26-megawatt gas-fired power plant with pre-commissioning completed and ready to commence full operations is expected to meet the power needs of residents in Calabar metropolis. The inspection, which will pave way for the first firing and hand over to the concessionaire firm in December, also afforded the governor the opportunity to speak to the host community to support the contractors in sustaining a peaceful environment.
The consistent generation of 26 megawatts from here, combined with the parliamentary extension, which does about 27 megawatts, will give Cross River State, indeed Calabar, almost 50 megawatts of steady power.
We would like to thank Cross River State Government and Honorable Governor. He has a vision for the state. He wants to make energy security his priority, and we are with him. We are going to use our skills and bring reliable and continuous power for this state.
The visit also took the governor and his guests to the piles and pylon factory at Kankpa, where poles and other accessories are being produced to assist in the generation, transmission and distribution of power from the power plant. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
To legislative matters, Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila says Nigerians will need to be patient with elected lawmakers to address high legislative turnover aimed at building legislative experience to deal with technicalities in legislative justice. This was at the 5th edition of the National Legislative Conference held in Abuja. Dayo Ogunshola reports.
This is the 5th edition of National Dialogue. The focus this time is on Nigeria's legislative experience, reflection on legislative turnover, institutional building, and governmental accountability. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila is here represented by a man with more than 3 decades of experience at the House of Representatives.
So I want to urge Nigerians, especially at this critical period where we are going back to the vote, that Nigerians must be patient with their members of the National Assembly. Bring back your members. It gives you more pride than rejecting them.
Former President of the Senate, Amen Ebute, placed the burden of legislative turnover in Nigeria on the dictate of Constitution.
The Constitution provides for the removal of everybody at the end of the 4 years.
Of the 360-member House of Representatives, over 170 of them failed to emerge at the primary elections of their respective political parties.
You see someone in America serving in the Congress for 59 years in the face of the Congress.
The organizers are optimistic that the communique from here will enrich the nation's democratic experience. In Abuja, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariola, has described Governor Nyesom Wike as the shining light of the legal profession who has positively impacted River State and the entire Nigerian judiciary. Ogidi Nyokwere reports that the Chief Justice made the remark at the inauguration of the Federal Judicial Service Commission Liaison Office and Justice Mary Odili Judicial Institute in Port Harcourt.
Justice Mary Odili Judicial Institute was conceived by the River State government to address the challenge of accommodation and carrying capacity at the National Judicial Institute for training of all cadres of judicial officers and their support staff. Governor Wike says the institute will help to reduce the financial cost of training judicial officers outside the state. The governor advocated a special budget for the institute to function optimally and promised a take-off grant of 500 million naira, pending when the institute's budget will be included in the 2023 appropriation bill.
She's the only person in this state who has risen from the magistracy to the High Court, to the Court of Appeal, down to Supreme Court.
Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, described the two edifices inaugurated as an uncommon feat, saying Governor Wike has relentlessly worked towards the growth of the judiciary in the country.
Today, you have graciously fulfilled the befitting office accommodation need of the Federal Judicial Service Commission, a federal agency that ordinarily has no direct bearing with Rivers State.
Justice Mary Odili, retired, whom the institute was named after, appreciated the Rivers State government for the gesture.
I was not the most intelligent in our set. I was not the most cerebral of the magistrates in Rivers State, nor that of the High Court. But God, in his way of elevating even the unknown to prominence, decided he had to have be elevated.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria also inaugurated the Federal Judicial Service Commission Liaison Office, also built by the Rivers State government. In Port Harcourt, Oge Dinyekwere, NTA News.
Let's take a break. The news continues shortly. Do stay.
When we are asleep in the night, they are awake. When we are awake in the morning, they are still awake. In the bush, air, land, and sea. Every time, anytime, everywhere. They are our security forces. In season and out of season, standing in there for you and I. Standing in there for our nation to keep Nigeria safe. Let us always support them. Let us pray for them. Let us help them to serve us better, to serve the nation better. Let us support the federal government of Nigeria. Together, we can weather the storm. For vital information, call
091 35 90 4467.
Welcome to the Airtel side of life, where you're covered in a variety of reliable ways. Get a router for just 10,000 naira with up to 240 gigabyte, or this MiFi for 7,500 naira with up to 150 gigabyte, or this for 5,000 naira with up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by Airtel, the smartphone network.
My people, my name is Emeka. Mekus Kamat. Let me get all this people. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when we get bust, then my eye open. I don't know that 419 be. Now when EFCC grab them, now they come grab me too. Now he make me, they warn you. All of them, I want to do business like me. Where they carry big money, well, sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. Yeah. They could shine in my eye. Because the special control unit against money laundering, what they call SCUMO, they don't want to say, if the money pass 5 million naira for individual, no collect them. If he pass 10 million naira for company, no collect them. Can I go where? Bank. If you not do them like that, 250,000 naira for every day where this offense happen. Or they go suspend your license. Or they go cuckoo, shut them down. Pata for your hand. No talk say, I know 1 year.
This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Growing up in a big family, there weren't always enough seats at the table, so we started eating on the floor so that we could enjoy our food and cokes together. To remind us that the most important part of any meal is being together.
The Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu hereby invites interested and qualified Nigerians to participate in the 2023-2024 Federal Government Scholarship Awards for bilateral education agreement. Undergraduate studies tenable in Russia, Morocco, Hungary, Egypt, and Venezuela. Postgraduate studies tenable in Russia for those whose first degrees were obtained from Russia, China, Hungary, Serbia, Romania. All qualified candidates are advised to visit Federal Ministry of Education's website www.education.gov.nj and click on Federal Scholarship Board icon on the homepage. Read the guidelines and then complete the application form online. Print the completed application form. For further inquiries, call 080-7788-4417, 080-3599-6213. Email fsb@education.gov.nj. Please note that this particular application does not attract any processing fee. Therefore, beware of fraudsters. Andrew David Adijo, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, announcer.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service, in collaboration with the Nigerian Television Authority, presents Tax Impact, Education Tax, Keeping the Fountains of Our Eyes.
Fresh order directing the Chairman, Independent National.
The tribunal ruled that the mere appearance of the representative of REC has not answered the subpoena, noting that an application for subpoena is an administrative act, and when it is granted, it becomes judicial act, and the party upon which the subpoena is issued must comply. According to the ruling, the petitioners have shown sufficient reasons for the tribunal to compel the national chairman of INEC to produce the documents in question.
INEC is a very responsible agency of government that respects rule of law and respects court orders, even though we have grounds to challenge the order, but we're not going to do that.
On our own side, no shaking. We are confident that at the end of the day, we will prevail.
Thursday, 1st of December 2022 was fixed for the presentation of the set credentials. Joshua Wujidi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, INEC has released guidelines for the conduct of political rallies, processions and campaigns, as well as finances and election expenses of political parties, candidates and aspirants. The 12-point guideline on conduct of political rallies and campaigns deals with issues of procedure, clash of dates, venue and time of campaigns. The 9-point guideline on finances and election expenses of political parties reminds stakeholders on the procedures and limits of individual and group donations, as well as submission of revenues and expenditures after the election. Meanwhile, INEC has approved the appointment of the Secretary of the Commission, Mrs. Rose Oraran Anthony, for a second and final term of 4 years with effect from 7th December 2022. To agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture has advised Association of Master Bakers in Rivers State to utilize high-quality cassava flour in baking to drive its adoption in the flour milling industry. This was at a capacity building training for master bakers on the inclusion of 20% high-quality cassava flour in bread making and other confectionaries organized by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Gabriel Amunike reports.
50 master bakers in Rivers State were trained in the inclusion of 20% cassava flour in bread production. They were taught the usage of 20% high-quality cassava flour and 40 kg wheat flour. The mixture was displayed to the participants at the workshop. The inclusion of 20% high-quality cassava flour policy put in place by the federal government has the potential to generate more employment, save billions of naira daily, as well promotes wealth creation.
This will create more employment for our people in the cassava value chain, in the processing of the cassava into flour, as well as to reduce crime in the country.
Deputy Director, Root and Tuber Division, Abuja, says Nigeria produces about 60 million tons of cassava yearly and the largest producer of cassava in the world. But he is worried that the potential is still untapped.
Not only cassava, sweet potato is there, sorghum is there, cassava is there. If it is mixed appropriately.